they found handprints and drawings that are between 35,000 and 40,000 years old at a minimum. They could be even older.
Oh my God! Whoa! Yo!
Imagine opening a doorway that hasn't been touched since mammoths still walked across Ice Age landscapes. No footprints, no fresh air, no sunlight. Just a silent chamber preserved exactly as it was tens of thousands of years ago. Now imagine that what waited inside didn't just reveal how ancient people lived. It challenged one of the biggest stories we've ever told about ourselves. For generations, many history books painted a simple picture. Modern humans arrived in Europe with superior intelligence, creativity, and technology, while Neanderthals were portrayed as primitive relatives who couldn't keep up. It was a neat story, easy to remember, but science has a habit of rewarding curiosity over certainty.
You're going to be the first people to actually see a chamber which was sealed 45,000 years ago, and well, before us, the last people there were Neanderthals.
Deep within the limestone caves of Gibraltar, archaeologists uncovered evidence that forces us to rethink what it really meant to be human. The Rock of Gibraltar rises dramatically where the Atlantic Ocean meets the Mediterranean Sea. Today it's famous for its strategic location, but long before ships and cities, this towering cliff sheltered a network of sea caves overlooking an Ice Age world. Among them is Vanguard Cave, part of a larger cave complex that has fascinated archaeologists for decades. Layer by layer, these caves preserve an extraordinary record of life, stretching back thousands of years. Every layer is like another page in a history book, except this one was written by people who never left behind a written language. After years of painstaking excavation, researchers encountered something unexpected. A passage deep inside the cave had been completely blocked by an ancient wall of hardened sand. This wasn't the result of a recent collapse. Over thousands of years, wind-blown sand had gradually filled the entrance, becoming so compact that it formed a natural seal. Breaking through it wasn't simply a matter of digging. Every movement had to protect the untouched evidence beyond. Then came the moment archaeologists had hoped for. Behind the barrier was a hidden chamber that had remained isolated for roughly 40,000 years. Inside, everything was frozen in time. Unlike most archaeological sites, where countless natural events disturb ancient evidence, this chamber had remained remarkably undisturbed. Dust rested where it had settled. Bones lay where they had fallen. Every object preserved its original context. And that's where the real mystery began. Scattered across the chamber were the remains of powerful predators, including a lynx, a spotted hyena, and a large vulture. Their presence raised immediate questions. These weren't animals that normally gather together deep inside a confined cave. The cave walls added another puzzle. Deep scratches carved into the limestone suggested that at least one large animal had struggled desperately inside. Researchers continue to investigate exactly how these remains accumulated. Natural processes, animal behavior, and the cave's changing environment may all have played a role. But one discovery stood apart from everything else. In one of the darkest corners lay a single marine shell. At first glance, it looked insignificant, but archaeology depends on context. This shell came from the coast outside the cave. It could not have reached the chamber by itself. Someone carried it there. Whether it served as food, a keepsake, or something with symbolic meaning remains uncertain. Yet its presence reveals something simple and profound. A Neanderthal deliberately traveled from the shoreline into the deepest darkness of the cave, carrying an object from the sea. That small shell quietly challenged old assumptions about how these people interacted with their world. But even more surprising discoveries were waiting elsewhere in the cave system. Here's where the story becomes even more remarkable. The hidden chamber captured people's imagination, but some of the strongest evidence for Neanderthal intelligence came from layers of sediment that were actually much older. Researchers uncovered the remains of carefully constructed hearths, unlike ordinary campfires. These weren't random piles of burned wood. The structures appear to have been designed for controlled heating, creating conditions suitable for producing sticky plant-based adhesives from local vegetation. Similar technologies are known from other prehistoric sites, where adhesives were used to attach stone tools securely onto wooden handles or shafts. Think about what that process required. First, people needed to identify useful plants. Then they had to understand that heating those plants under carefully controlled conditions, not simply burning them, could produce a useful substance. Finally, they had to apply that adhesive to manufacture stronger hunting weapons. This wasn't accidental discovery repeated once. It represented accumulated knowledge shared across generations. In other words, innovation. For years, many people assumed sophisticated technology belonged only to modern humans. The evidence from Gibraltar suggests the story was far more complicated. And then archaeologists found something even harder to explain away. Carved into the bedrock was a series of intersecting engraved lines forming a deliberate geometric pattern. Unlike random scratches left by butchering animals or sharpening tools, microscopic analysis indicates the engraving was intentionally created through repeated, controlled strokes. The sediment covering it suggests it predates the arrival of modern humans in that region. No one can say exactly what the engraving meant. Perhaps it marked a place. Perhaps it carried symbolic significance. Perhaps it represented something completely lost to time. Its meaning remains unknown. But its existence matters. Creating an abstract design requires planning, intention, and the ability to represent an idea beyond immediate survival. That realization has become one of the strongest reasons scientists no longer see Neanderthals as intellectually inferior. Instead, many researchers now describe them as a different kind of human, highly adapted to their environment, capable of sophisticated behavior, and possessing cognitive abilities that overlap significantly with our own. By this point, the old stereotype begins to crumble. Neanderthals hunted large game. They controlled fire. They manufactured complex tools. They cared for injured members of their communities. Evidence from various sites suggests they sometimes used pigments, collected unusual objects, and may even have buried some of their dead. Each discovery on its own might seem modest. Together, they paint a completely different picture, not of a failed experiment, but of another successful human lineage that survived for hundreds of thousands of years. So if Neanderthals were capable, adaptable, and intelligent, what happened to them? That's one of the biggest unanswered questions in archaeology. The answer probably wasn't a single dramatic event. Instead, scientists believe multiple pressures gradually reshaped their world. During the Ice Age, the coastline outside Gibraltar looked nothing like today's landscape. Sea levels were dramatically lower, exposing wide coastal plains rich with plants and animals. These environments provided food, fresh water, and hunting opportunities. But climates change. As temperatures rose and glaciers melted, sea levels slowly climbed. Generation after generation watched familiar landscapes disappear beneath advancing water. Forests shifted. Animal populations changed. Resources became less predictable. At the same time, modern humans expanded across Europe. Weather competition, environmental change, interbreeding, disease, or a combination of many factors ultimately explains Neanderthal disappearance remains actively debated. The evidence suggests there wasn't one simple ending. In fact, Gibraltar may have been one of the final refuges where small Neanderthal populations survived long after they had vanished from much of Europe. Some researchers have proposed that these caves sheltered isolated communities for thousands of years beyond their decline elsewhere, although the exact timing continues to be studied and debated. If true, it's an extraordinary image to imagine. While other regions changed around them, a handful of Neanderthals may have continued living beside these cliffs, watching their familiar world slowly transform. Not because they lacked intelligence, but because even remarkable adaptability has limits when environments change faster than societies can respond. Perhaps the greatest lesson hidden inside that sealed chamber isn't about extinction at all. It's about perspective. For decades, discoveries were interpreted through the assumption that modern humans represented the only true measure of intelligence. Every new excavation has made that assumption harder to defend. Science didn't rewrite history because someone changed their opinion. It changed because new evidence demanded a better explanation. That is exactly how knowledge is supposed to work. The chamber inside Vanguard Cave wasn't valuable because it contained treasure. Its greatest treasure was information. A shell carried into darkness, carefully engineered hearths, deliberate engravings, silent clues left by people whose voices disappeared tens of thousands of years ago. Each discovery reminds us that history is rarely as simple as the stories we first learn. And perhaps the most fascinating thought of all is this: if one forgotten chamber could reshape our understanding of an entire species, what other chapters of human history are still waiting beneath layers of stone, untouched, unseen, and ready to challenge everything we think we know? If you enjoyed exploring one of archaeology's greatest mysteries, don't forget to like the video, subscribe for more incredible discoveries, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next journey into humanity's hidden past. And let us know in the comments, which discovery surprised you the most, and what do you think future excavations might reveal?